This episode of the Digital Desperados podcast is brought to you by SaferNet VPN, found online at safernet.com.
Welcome to the Digital Desperados podcast, featuring dark tales from the web. Hey, Patrick McMurphy back with us today to tell us our next dark tale. He's joined by Brad Hawkins, founder and CEO of SaferNet. I'm Jim Brangenberg, and I'll serve as your crowd control. This podcast is brought to you by SaferNet. You know, cyber criminals are trying to get into your computer all the time. Protect your computer effortlessly with SaferNet. Cybersecurity made simple for businesses with a VPN, internet controls, virus protection, and 84 web filters for a focused online experience. Safety is our priority. Get secured now. Sign up at safernet.com. That's safernet.com. All right, Patrick, which dark tale are you telling us today?
Well, Jim, today I want to talk about APT-42, aka Oil Rig, aka Mint Sandstorm, and aka Charming Kitten. It is not a charming kitten, but
Charming Kitten.
Charming Kitten. Cybersecurity people have odd naming conventions. Now, even though they're known as APT-42, I will refer to them just as 42. In terms of what that means, you will see this naming process in cybersecurity a lot. APT just means advanced persistent threat, and so that kind of name is given to a lot of different groups. So there's 42, 41, etc. It goes back years, but I'll just refer to them as 42. And so 42.
Not Charming Kitty.
Charming Kitty. Yeah,
I call him Charming Kitty. I think that'd be more fun.
I'm going to go for Charming Kitty. That's a great idea, Brad.
It's so charming.
It's very charming. So Charming Kitten are Iran's SSH group. So what is an SSH? SSH means state-sponsored hacker. And so really what this means is that every country in the world with, we'll say, an active military have a group of hackers on board. They effectively commit warfare on the digital scale. So it's obviously much different to physical warfare, but they're all again in every country with a decent military. So when I say decent, there's some countries with terrible militaries and they have terrible SSHs, but it is what it is. So SSH, Charming Kitten, they're established around 2015. They're a prominent player in the cyber espionage landscape. So they operate under the umbrella, and now this is a mouthful, under the umbrella of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Intelligence Organization, aka IRGC-IO. I'm never saying that again in this podcast. So obviously that ties itself closely to Iran's geopolitical goals. So Charming Kitten has gained notoriety for sophisticated attacks, but what really sets itself apart is its adaptability, and precision in targeting. So Kitten's primary focus.
Go ahead. Just call him 42. It's fine. We don't want to mess you up for the rest of the podcast.
I won't be able to talk about serious crimes here, but a Kitten did it. So 42's primary focus is information collection and surveillance. And so a lot of groups, what they do is that they prioritize financial gain. This isn't the case for 42. All of their goals are rooted in espionage and really geopolitical strategy. Its targets are very carefully chosen basically to align with state interests. They're often aimed at monitoring, disrupting, or influencing political opponents and foreign entities. Now, the group doesn't limit itself to a single domain, but operates really across a spectrum of sectors. And so these include things like civil society. This would be activists, dissidents, opposition figures. Then there's nonprofits and NGOs, basically any organization that's advocating for human rights within Iran. There's education, media, universities, and journalists who are at all critical of Iran. They're on the list. Healthcare and pharmaceuticals. This was more during the pandemic. Really, they were attacking a lot of pharmaceutical companies, government and legal entities. Of course, there's a strategic surveillance of foreign government officials and agencies. And then, of course, manufacturing and technology. So industrial espionage, basically, to benefit Iran in some way. So 42 is actually known to operate in at least 14 countries. This includes the US, the UK, Germany, France, Australia, a lot of Middle Eastern nations, as you can imagine, obviously Israel without a doubt. But its widespread activity kind of underscores this. It has a lot of strategic importance to the Iranian government.
Wow.
So these are serious guys.
Yeah, and it's so important to remember that somebody's always watching. These guys are doing it in 14 countries, but it doesn't mean they're not doing it around the world. So someone's always watching. How else would they know what to advertise inside of your screen when they've just been listening to your conversations? Stay safe while working online with SaferNet. Our easy-to-use cybersecurity app keeps businesses protected. Experience VPN, internet controls, virus protection, 84 web filters for a distraction-free, pain-free online environment. Get secured now. Sign up at safernet.com. That's safernet.com. All right, so they're in 14 countries, Patrick, including United States, the UK. I mean, so Iran is using them to really scope out all of the places they want to take over or punish for our support of Israel. Is that the deal, you think?
Yeah, that's heavily rooted in it. Again, it's all geopolitical with these guys, and they do not like Israel. So if your country is seen as supporting Israel, then of course you're on the list. But really, they have a number of attack vectors, but what they rely most on are spear phishing campaigns. And so this involves crafting emails tailored to targets. So for example, these emails will often impersonate trusted sources like journalists, NGOs, or even colleagues. And the aim here is to trick people who receive the email into revealing things like login credentials or clicking on malicious links. And one example of this is that in 2017, they impersonated Google's security team, sending emails that appeared legitimate. And so victims were prompted to click on this link to, secure their accounts, and all their credentials got stolen. And those emails went out to a lot of people in government across the US, UK, a lot of Europe. So spear phishing is their main attack vector because it is so successful.
So they're targeting the governmental officials to get into the back end of the government, or are they doing it to everybody?
To everyone, but definitely governments. But I mean, when I mentioned earlier with civil society, I mean, if you are an Iranian individual and are speaking up against the government, you would probably get an email from the Google security team. So they're basically anyone who's remotely anti-Iranian, they're getting targeted. So they've a big radar.
What's really interesting about this is that this is the kind of stuff that we always hear about, but we never really know about, if you know what I mean. I mean, we're always hearing this mystical thing that everybody can pay attention to what it is that we're doing, but we don't have any hard facts about anything. And so Mr. Kitty Cat here is the one that is digging in deep, trying to find out what the truth is. And it's fascinating to actually put kind of feeler out to see who exactly these people are. So thanks for bringing this guy. So this is great.
Yeah, exactly. And so once access is gained, what 42 will do is that it deploys malware. It actually has its own custom Android malware, which I can get into. But what this really does, it does things like monitor communication. So that's intercepting phone calls, messages, emails, tracks locations. So if you're a dissident or a high value target, they can track you from the mobile. Then of course, harvesting sensitive data, including contacts or, personal information. So when I mentioned they have their own custom Android malware, the two things they invented themselves are called Nice Curl and Tame Cat. So Tame Cat is obviously why they're called Charming Kitten. Tame Cat is one of the big malware viruses. And these are also used for things like, data, basically getting data out from an infected machine. So, getting sensitive documents or trade secrets out. And then remote access, which is always big in hacking, is that if you have some kind of remote access malware, that means whoever's controlling it can control everything on your device. And so kind of looking at a brief timeline of
Now that's actually a new thing that we haven't really covered in any of the past is remote control of your device. And explain a little bit. Do they use the spear phishing to be able to gain access to a remote access to a computer?
Yeah. So, for example, if they send out some spear phishing email and, it says, oh, you need to click this and then you also need to download this, or even they just go to a website that's loaded with malware, it can download onto their machines. And often when we look at this remote access, it's often in the form of something called a RAT, a remote access Trojan. And so again, a Trojan is a concealed virus, more or less. And so they will download this virus without knowing that it activates. And how it actually works is that if you've ever been in a situation work where, you're talking to IT, you have a problem with your computer, they will use something called, like, we'll say TeamViewer. So they will take control of your computer. It's the exact same idea, except they're doing it for completely malicious ends. So if you're ever on your computer and you see your mouse move and you didn't do it, you have a rat. So called an exterminator.
Yeah, back in the old days, you used Citrix servers, and before that, we used PC Anywhere. And back in the 80s, I was remoting in on people's computers using PC Anywhere. It was super easy back then.
Exactly. And they were really the basis for a lot of these malware variants. But looking at their actions over the years, we'll say 2017, they started targeting opposition leaderships. And so really there was Iranian opposition figures in Europe and North America. They used phishing emails disguised as a Google account warnings. They would get into email accounts. They would get more intelligence on anyone who was criticizing the Iranian regime. 2020, they pivoted a lot to the pharmaceutical sector. Of course, this was pandemic. This was a very happening moment for cybersecurity. Basically, everyone was trying to hack pharmaceutical companies. Everyone was doing it.
Why on God's green earth would they do that, Patrick McMurphy?
Who knows?
Do you think they suspected insidious things? Are they listening now?
It's definitely possible. 2022 is when they really mastered social engineering. And I just want to briefly say about social engineering, because it's an important concept in hacking. Social engineering doesn't often involve directly hacking, but it's basically being a con man. It's trying to convince someone you're helping them out with something, but you're actually, they're like, oh yeah, could you give me your password for that? I'll help you with that issue you're having on your computer, and then boom, you're hacked. So social engineering is a different level of hacking that doesn't always involve technology, but sometimes it does. But in this, when they'd mastered this, they were targeting Western think tanks, journalists, and members of the Iranian diaspora. They had basically created these fake personas. They posed as journalists, these outlets that are reputable. They gained trust with people. They seemed like really, progressive and all this. And then they would send them a link and be like, check this article. Boom, it's actually malware. This is what they were doing. And they had actually created a number of fake domains resembling things like The Economist, The Washington Post, added a lot of legitimacy to their campaigns. Wow. 2023 is they kind of went in.
This is a long play then. These guys aren't doing it for the quick play. They're doing the long play.
Yeah, this is intelligence gathering. This is intelligence gathering completely. No. These aren't like other state-sponsored hacking groups at all.
Now, this is bigger than just one guy. This is a group that is backing him up. Is that right?
Yeah. So what these guys do, we'll just say for argument's sake, they work a 9 to 5. So they go to the Iranian government buildings, go in, check in. They're government official employees. These guys are working for the Iranian government entirely. It's a sector of the military and government. So this is run like, it's a fine oil machine, these guys.
Wow.
2023, they kind of got more into advanced phishing against high profile targets. So they were targeting anyone really linked to US presidential campaigns and, of course, Israeli government officials. So that's when we see, this is coming up more in the news. They were leveraging a lot of social engineering to infiltrate email accounts, looking for sensitive communications, anything that could benefit Iranian interests.
I mean, I can't imagine why they would want. Why do they care about U.S. presidential campaigns and Israeli government officials? Oh, these aren't the good guys. Okay, I see. All right. All right. So what if you had one place to monitor all the internet activity of everyone in your workplace? Protect your business with SaferNet, the simple cybersecurity app that shields your online presence with VPN, internet controls, and virus protection. Get secured now and have one of those neat places to monitor all the internet activity of everyone that works with you. Sign up at safernet.com. That's safernet.com. All right, so they're, needless to say, they've gone after high-profile people in the United States and Israel. You know, are these guys, I mean, by this time in the story, we're usually like, and these guys get found out by the FBI and they get arrested. We're not there.
No, and we can't get there because the FBI will have to bust down some doors in Iran to get to these guys, you know. So, but I mean, really, by 2024, they have just intensified on everything. They're still targeting a lot of figures in the US and, of course, Israel. And you can see they're kind of aligning a lot of their cyber activities with real-time geopolitical ongoings. So really, you know, 42's hallmark, it's the ability to evolve with the times. As Iran's political and economical priorities shift, so do the group's tactics and their attacks. You know, they have had a lot of infrastructure taken down by other, like we'll say the FBI, for example, but 42 have been resilient. They keep coming back. And so it's not just about recognizing their tactics, but their wider implications. Things like political influence. They want to infiltrate political campaigns. They're also a threat to democracy because they want to undermine free speech and opposition movements. And of course, there's a lot of economic espionage. There's a lot of financial and reputational risks if these guys are in your system. And they kind of exemplify how this cyber group have become a cornerstone of modern geopolitics. It's not all just about financial hacking, you know. They manipulate information, they survey opposition, and they pursue objectives that align with their national interests. And Charming Kitty, it's their campaigns have this great reliance on social engineering. They can exploit trust, curiosity, fear. These are human vulnerabilities that no firewall or antivirus can actually protect against. But that is AP242, Charming Kitten.
Now, Patrick, is this such a thing that the average listener that's, you know, just jumping on, paying attention to what's going on, would they get hit by such a thing? I mean, such a massive operation. Maybe they're on their social media and they express their views on whether Israel's doing good or not doing good or whatever it is. Would they get involved in this? Would they get tied into this at any level?
Yeah, it's a great question, Brad. And you know, if you're just average Joe, you know, and you have a Twitter or a Facebook account, and you know you're posting opinions that are anti-Iran, 42 might not directly hit you. However, what they've done really it's a stark reminder that you have to be, no matter who you are, no matter who you're talking about on social media, you have to be cautious of unsolicited emails. You have to verify the identities of those who you engage with online. You have to maintain this robust digital hygiene because hackers...
Wait a minute. Wow. Robust digital hygiene.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
It's good. I like the description, but explain, what does that mean, Patrick McMurphy?
Yeah, I suppose it's really just about how much you reveal about yourself online. You know, you don't need to post everything online because if you post it online, everyone knows about it. Be careful of the websites you go to. You know, obviously have some level of protection in terms of software. Be careful who you engage with online. You just have to. Do you know what? It really is similar to street smarts. I mean, you're not going to walk into there's a really dangerous part of town. You're not going to walk in there at 1 a.m. and be like, oh, this is fine. And you're walking out with your iPhone in the hand and nice watch on. It's the same online. Just don't do it.
Well, and if I can give a shameless plug there is that's exactly what SaferNet's all about, is to say, you know what, if you want to be able to keep yourself in a place where you're not vulnerable or as vulnerable as you could be in these situations, you want to make it so even if you do get an email with a link from Google and you click on it, it's going to silo that and then not allow you to get into the places that you should not go. That's going to expose you to these things, and that's really one of the foundational tools of SaferNet is we're fantastic at blocking phishing attempts, so we love that. But anyway, I find this fascinating because it is, one of those things that, you hear about in the news, you hear about on social media, you hear about all these different things that are coming in from foreign countries trying to hack elections and do all kinds of stuff. Well, here it is real time, and that's a real thing.
Absolutely.
And it's the long play that we have to be concerned about because they make friends with you and they make it sound like they're legitimate. Yeah. I mean, they're not just trying to send you one email, they're targeting you. That's the phishing thing. They put the musky lure on in order to get the musky. You're the big fish. You heard it here. The internet and everything digital can have a dark side with many dark players. It's why you need SaferNet by your side. Thanks to SaferNet for supporting our efforts to bring these stories to your ears and giving them the exposure that they need. Please, for your own security and the security of those you love and those you work with, check out SaferNet.com and get secure today. Till the next time, click only on the attachments you trust from those you trust and only on the links you get from people that you know and love, or you may become the next victim of a digital desperado.
This episode of the Digital Desperados podcast is brought to you by SaferNet VPN, found online at SaferNet.com. If it's easy to use, you will use it. What if you had one place to monitor all the internet activity of everyone in your family? Attention, I Work for Him listeners. Safeguard your business and family with SaferNet VPN. We deliver top-notch cybersecurity with a user-friendly approach, protect sensitive data with a virtual private network, and shield loved ones from harmful content with 84 internet filters. Choose SaferNet VPN for peace of mind. Get secured now. Sign up at SaferNet.com. That's SaferNet.com.